And then we spoke a little bit about what advice you'd give to yourself like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I don't know if it's still the same. What would you say? What would your advice to be to yourself?
My advice would be, because I found out something in the last year and a half. Actually, right after we did that conversation, I got into a whole line of research that changed me and changed my whole life. And that's the whole thing on the C60, the carbon 60 molecule, and its oil solubility and biodistribution in your body as the most effective detoxification agent ever discovered and safest. And then that got me back into activated charcoal as a regular part of my life. So if I had to do it all over again, I would have loved to have been on those things 11 years ago, 15 years ago. So unfortunately, I found out it now. But we're in a toxic environment.
Yeah.
I was just with a friend of mine. He's taken super good care of himself for 25 years, and he's been doing an oxygen cleanse. So he's been taking a high amount of oxygen products into his body, and he's just, telling me all this stuff's coming out. Even though you take really good care of yourself, it is really amazing the amount of toxicity that is in us and in our environment. Not just the artificial stuff, but just as you age, your natural metabolic byproducts. According to animal research, and there's nothing else is even close, activated charcoal and the C60 are the most effective at increasing longevity of any substances ever found, even beyond stem cells, even beyond nutrients.
And hang on, what's the C60? I've missed that bit.
Okay, so the C60 was discovered. It's a carbon 60 molecule. It's a ball.
Okay.
And Victor Schauberger said all those years ago, if you remember Victor Schauberger, the water wizard, if you want to research that, I really recommend that. He's the guy who gave us the fundamental concept that the vortex is the formative energy in nature. It's ectropic. It creates organization. And then explosions or heat, it basically cause entropy, break things down. So this fundamental research that Victor Schauberger did, he described levitating carbon. He called it carbone. And they're carbon molecules that move upward. Well, now that's been proven to be true. And the C60 can envelope around hydrogen and actually bubble off in certain environments, like a vortex. And typically, you're going to find these carbon molecules in burnt wood. Usually, you're going to see it in a burnt wood that's been burnt by lightning. A high electricity will cause these to be formed. Sir Harry Kroto won the Nobel Prize for elucidating the structure of C60 in 1996. It's an incredible story worth your research. Sir Harry Kroto, he's now passed. What an incredible scientist. From his breakthrough in carbon chemistry, that then led to thousands of scientists diving into this, because before Harry Kroto came along, everybody thought, no, we've got carbon chemistry down. There can be no innovations. We've got every angle on it. But Kroto came along and said, no, look at this. And he changed the whole landscape. Now, this is very interesting because he was heavily trolled. He was heavily criticized. He was torn apart by the scientific community as he developed his knowledge in this field, but eventually he won the Nobel Prize. So this is interesting, right? Because we believe that science is static. It is never static. It goes on, and there are always breakthroughs, and there are always scientists and even very intelligent people that will try to stop progress because they think, no, we know what's going on, but then innovators will come along and break the mold. Anyway, when you have the C60, you can get it into your body. You can just ingest it, but since it's oil soluble, it's better ingested in an oil.
Okay.
Like olive oil.
Yep.
And that was the research that one researcher, he took on the project of doing a toxicology study on C60, because again, thousands of scientists have now taken this on to study this, go every angle on it. Are there ways we can use this in technology? Are there ways we can use this in preservation? Is there ways we can use this in construction and in making computer chips? All these different things are being researched. But this guy wanted to see what the toxicology was. Well, he ended up breaking the world record with the longest study ever done on mice. In fact, he increased the lifespan of mice by 95%. In fact, the last mouse, they had to kill the mouse in order to publish the study.
Okay.
That's, I don't know how people think like that, but that's how these people think. Anyway, that's what led me to the C60, is that study.
Right.
And because I need to know in the longevity field, okay, I need to know what is the greatest longevity studies in mice. Now, what's interesting is that then led me to back into the activated charcoal. And when I say activated charcoal, I'm talking about the stuff that's in your health food store.
Yeah.
There is no question that if anything in that health food store, or anything you can buy easily, because C60 you have to go through a couple of hoops to get to it, but activated charcoal is everywhere. That is the number one longevity substance you can buy easily. Wow. For example, I was reading a study the other day, and They started these mice at 24 months with activated charcoal, increased their lifespan by 43%. Now, what does that mean? Like when I say 43%, it means if you're going to live to be 100 years old, a 43% increase in your lifespan is 143 years old.
Yeah.
That is by far the most astonishing breakthrough in longevity research we got. So I've been on the activated charcoal and the C60 almost every day for a year and a half.
Sounds very, very fascinating.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
Very strongly recommend watching the documentaries you can get online on Sir Harry Croto.
Yeah.
Very strongly recommend reading that study. Also very strongly recommend that you get into the studies on activated charcoal to see how it can help your life. It can transform your life. It could save you. Because what gets us in the end is actually toxicity according to this body of research.
Right.
Not even nutrient deficiency. Sure, that is important to make sure you address that. But the most dangerous thing is toxicity.
Okay.